Most people, to the untrained eye, are going to sit here and say that this owner starved her dogs.
We're going to head up to that dog hall right now. So we'll go out, we'll assess the situation.
I mean, look at that. These dogs look like garbage. I mean, that's just not. Did you see there's bags of food there?
She was very upset about losing all of her cats. She called me up a few times in tears.
I need my photos. I need to be able to paint this picture for the judge so that he sees what I see.
Good morning and welcome to the January 13, 2026 Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Gwen Myers.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, Heavenly Father, I come to you again, thanking you for allowing us to see a new year. As we begin this meeting, Father, I ask that you would bless our agenda, bless all of our applicants who submitted an application as we discuss their project today. Bless this board, bless our staff. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. Mr. Grady, you want to review the changes to the agenda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Grady, Hillsborough County Development Services. In addition to the withdrawals, continuance, and remands beginning on the published agenda on page 3, we have the following changes to the agenda. On page 4, item B1, major mod application 25-1081. Existing condition 3 is being modified to correct a Scribner's error to update the reference to the correct streets. That's subject to the improvements outlined in the condition. The second change is on page 4, item B1, major mod 25-1081. The applicant is requesting continuance to the February 10th, 2026 BOC land use meeting at 9 a.m. Next change is on agenda page 14, item E8, PRS 26-0179. The applicant is requesting the continuance to the March 10th, 2026 BOC land use meeting at 9 a.m. And the final change is the Commissioner Wallstall item to discuss directing staff to prepare recommended amendments to the Hillsborough County Consolidated Impact Assessment Program Ordinance and Mobility Fee Program Ordinance to address impact fee and mobility fee assessments for minor increases in living area for existing residents. That is all the changes to the agenda.
Do we have a motion to approve the changes?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Wallstall, second Commissioner Miller. Please record your vote and changes to the agenda.
Motion carried 7-0.
Can we have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Wallstall, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on the consent agenda.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, so if you're here for a B item, your application's been approved. At this time, if you're planning on testifying today, would you please stand, raise your right hand so the clerk can swear you in?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Mr. Grady, want to introduce first vacation?
Commissioners, the first item is agenda item C1, vacation petition 24-0009. Real Estate Services will present this item.
Good morning.
It's on. No.
Good morning, Commissioners. Victoria Rosenbecker for the record with Facilities Management and Real Estate Services. Item C1 today is vacate ID V24-0009. This is a petition by Pedro Arces and Ana Lucia Pineda Arces to vacate a platted public utility easement located at 4104 Hollowtail Drive in Greater Carrollwood, Northdale, and consisting of approximately 524.01 square feet. The proposed vacate area was established in 1978 through the plat of Northdale Section E, Unit 2, as recorded in Plat Book 49, page 22, and is generally located west of Northdale Mabry Highway and north of Northdale Boulevard. The petitioner has submitted this request to resolve an open code enforcement case related to the construction of a pool enclosure, as well as encroachments into the easement by a vinyl fence, a pool deck, and a concrete surrounding the pool deck. Pending resolution of the vacate, the petitioner will be required to submit a variance application for setback relief. Reviewing departments, agencies, and utility providers have raised no objections, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. This public hearing, anyone like to speak to the item? Seeing none, can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Wallstall. Please record your vote on C1.
Motion carried 7-0.
C2.
Next agenda item is agenda item C2, vacate petition 24-0016.
Victoria Rosenbecker for the record with Facilities Management and Real Estate Services. Item C2 today is vacate ID V24-0016. This is a petition by Terry Benefield and Brenda Dorr to vacate portions of unimproved platted public right-of-way known as First Street and Second Street in eastern rural Hillsborough County and consisting of approximately 0.48 acres. The right-of-way proposed to be vacated was dedicated through the plat of Sydney Highlands as recorded in Plat Book 27, page 6, and is generally located east of North Dover Road and north of East State Road 60. The petitioners have submitted this request to ensure their sites are buildable. Reviewing departments, agencies, and utility providers have raised no objections to this request. Thank you for your consideration, and I can answer any questions.
This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Wolstel, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on C2.
Motion carried 7-0.
C3.
Agenda items C3 is vacate petition 25-0008.
Last one, Victoria Rosenbecker with Facilities Management and Real Estate Services. Item C3 today is vacate ID V25-0008. This is a petition by Satya Prasad and Swaru Parani Vadla Moody to vacate improved platted public right-of-way known as Hillcrest Avenue in Sefner Mingo, which consists of approximately 0.143 acres. The right-of-way proposed to be vacated was dedicated in 1925 through the plat of Valvilla, as recorded in Plat Book 18, page 47, and is generally located east of Martin Luther King Boulevard and west of South Parsons Avenue. The petitioner has submitted this request for the purpose of creating a more rectangular parcel that allows for a better designed development. Reviewing departments, agencies, and utility providers have raised no objections to this request. Thank you for your consideration, and I can answer any questions.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Wolstel. Please record your vote on C3.
Motion carried 7-0.
Mr. Grady, first E item.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item E1, PRS application 25-0754. Commissioners, this is a request for a minor modification of a PD that's located on Hall Road, north of the intersection of Thronesass Road and Hall Road intersection. The request is to minor modification of the existing PD that's approved for a 10-unit mobile home park. They're modifying the center plan to reorient the mobile home units, requesting reductions of setbacks along the northern and southern boundaries, and reducing the overall PD by 1 unit. Staff has reviewed this and find its approval, and we're recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Jeff Anderson, applicant, here with Eli Payne from Bayside Engineering. We have nothing further to add, and we're available for questions.
All right, great, thank you. This time, anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right, can we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Wolstel. Please record your vote on E1.
Commissioner Myers. Motion carried 7-0.
All right, thank you. E2.
Next item is agenda item E2, PRS application 25-1360. This is a request for a minor modification to a 1.34 acre portion of a PD that's located southeast of the intersection of County Road 579 and the I-4 interchange. This is requested to modify the uses on this parcel that's currently approved for a 4,000 square foot restaurant to reduce the size of the restaurant and the remaining balance to be allowed for other commercial uses as permitted in the PD, and also to limit the use of the restaurant to drive-through and walk-up. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Patricia Ortiz. My address is 2810 North Central Avenue. I have nothing further to add, but I could answer questions if there are any.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? If not, can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Wolstel, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on E2.
Motion carried 7-0.
E3.
Next item is agenda item E3, PRS application 26-0008. This is a request for a minor modification of the PD that's located on the east and west side of County Road 579, south of State Road 674. The request is to modify garage setbacks to reduce required minimum setbacks from 25 to 20 feet, and also to add an additional access point onto County Road 579. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
The applicant here.
Good morning, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Ward, and Henderson. I don't have anything else to add, but I'm here to answer any questions should you have any.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, can we have a
Move
motion?
approval. Second.
Motion, Commissioner Cohen, second, Commissioner Wostel. Please record your vote on E3.
Motion carried, 7-0.
E4.
Commissioners, E4 is PRS application 26-002. This is a request for a minor modification of the PD that's located on the north side of Fowler Avenue, and basically known as the University Square Mall site. They're modifying a portion of the PD in the northwest corner of the PD. They're combining development blocks and modifying development standards and road typologies associated with this request. The implementation provisions for this PD lie within the comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission has reviewed this and found the changes are consistent with the applicable policies of the community plan. Staff is also recommending approval of the changes. I will note the applicant will be submitting into the record as part of their presentation some modifications to condition 5.23 to clarify, provide some more information regarding landscaping proposed for enhanced landscaping, and then also condition 9B to clarify which increments of development are subject to the timing of required improvements associated with hard improvements. Staff has reviewed these and have no concerns with those changes, and we are recommending approval and available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good evening, Elise Batzel, Stearns Weaver Miller, on behalf of the applicant related. As you know, this is part of the old University Mall project. It's got a little bit of history. I won't go through it specifically, but there's a couple nuances to this application that I want to bring to your attention. The future land use is ICMU 35, encouraging that mixed-use development, that walkable environment. The zoning is currently planned development. This is a PRS to modify that planned development. These are all of the changes to the original zoning that have occurred. If you scroll all the way down to the area highlighted in blue, that's the area that we're talking about. It's in the northwestern corner of this old University Mall site. We have put details that we usually wouldn't put on this particular plan just to make sure that staff has what they need to ensure that we are maintaining the intent of the original ICMU 35. And we've, as part of this application, submitted a number of conditions as well to ensure that the built environment is what was envisioned as part of the original PD. So we consolidate blocks 5 and 9 into one larger block. We do relocate the major transit stop slightly to the east. We are going to modify, as part of this application, the adjacent roadways. And we added building envelopes, as you can see. I'm going to look at those in a little more detail. This enables a mixed-use development with 367 multifamily units that comprise both apartments and carriage houses. And we have added a lot of enhanced pedestrian access and conditions to ensure the walkability. This is the area where the multifamily apartment buildings will be built if this is approved. The carriage homes are along the southern boundary of the property. And then here along the eastern boundary of this block, you'll see there's 2 future out parcels. We've left those open for retail, restaurant, office. This PD enables a number of uses that could be part of this mixed-use development, not only on the larger PD, but in this block as well. And there are 2 areas to the south and to the east where we have added enhanced pedestrian access and conditions. This is just a visual of sort of our rendering of what we think those enhanced pedestrian conditions will be. As Brian mentioned, we do have 2 proposed conditions that are revised. Really, this first one just puts some quantifiable definitions around what is enhanced landscaping. So with your approval, Mr. Chair, I would like to submit these into the record.
Yes, if you just give it to the clerk, please.
And the second one relates to the timing of the major transit stop. We've been working with HART. That will be pushed out to no later than December 31st, 2027, or when the next development occurs for blocks 10, 11, 14, and 15. When this was originally written, it said any redevelopment, and some of the redevelopment has already occurred. So this transit stop, in conjunction with HART, will be provided either by the end of 2027 or with the next redevelopment in those 4 blocks. We would request your approval today. We have staff recommendation of approval with subject to the change of conditions. Our whole entire team is here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, can we have a motion? Commissioner Cohen?
I have a quick question for the applicant.
Of course.
We've seen this before, haven't we?
You have not seen this particular area. You've seen on the opposite side, on the northeastern side, there have been 2 different.
Is that the one where we had the back and forth about whether the trail was going to go there?
Yes,
and we
sir.
ultimately removed it because we thought it was
Septic
unsafe?
principles, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes,
got it.
this is the complete other side.
But it's the same overall development. It's
Absolutely.
just on the other side of, this is in the northwest corner, and that was like the northeast corner.
Yes.
All right, thanks.
Move approval.
Move approval, sorry.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Wilstel. Please record your vote.
But it's counting it.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Next item.
Commissioners, next item is E5, is PRS application 26-0156. This is a request to modify a 4.26 acre parcel that's located on the west side of Patterson Road. The PD is approved for a number of development options. One of those development options allows warehousing. It's for that particular use. The applicant is requesting to modify parking standards, remove a required cross-access along the western boundary, and remove a note in the plan that restricted the types of trucks that could access the site to accommodate this warehouse use. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hi, Elizabeth Rodriguez, 18156 Sandy Point Drive, Tampa, Florida, here on behalf of the applicant. We don't really have anything further to add and are available for questions.
Thank you. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Wilstel, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, next item.
Next item is agenda item E6, PRS application 26-0169. This is a request to modify a 6.2 acre parcel that's located on the west side of US 301 between Causeway and North and South Falkenberg Road. Commissioners, this request is to adding a second access configuration option for the project. Currently, the project has direct access to US 301 with cross access to the north and pedestrian access to the south. This adds a second option to remove access to US 301 with primary access being through the north, that's in the north through the adjacent parcel, and maintaining the pedestrian access to the south. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions.
Is the applicant here? Adam or Brian, you need to add anything?
Application, I'm not aware of any concerns with it.
Staff some support?
Yes, sir.
Does anyone here want to speak to E6? All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Wilstel, second Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on E6.
Motion carried 7-0.
E7.
Commissioners, E7 is a PRS application 26-0175. This is a request to modify the PD located west of US 41, along, it's approved for a range of manufacturing type uses. These modifications are to modify the site plan to provide greater flexibility in layout of approved uses, and they're also modifying, updating conditions. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Barry Wilcox with Stearns Weaver Miller on behalf of Mosaic. We're here to answer any questions you might have. We do have a brief presentation if you feel it necessary, but otherwise agree with staff decision and here to answer questions.
Thank you, sir. Anyone in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Myers, second, Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item E9, CDD 26-0144. This is a petition to establish the Berry Bay 3 CDD. This petition was submitted by Waimama LLC to establish the Berry Bay 3 CDD. The Berry Bay 3 CDD will encompass approximately 506 acres and is located on the east and west side of South County Road 579, south of State Road 674, and east of Bishop Road in Waimama. No objections to the pro CDD were received by reviewing agencies. Staff finds the application meets the requirements of Chapter 190 Florida statutes to establish a community development district and recommends approval. We're available for any questions.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak to E9? Seeing none, can we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion,
Second.
Commissioner Miller, second, Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on E9.
Motion carried, 7-0.
E10.
Commissioners, E10 is CDD 26-0168. This is a petition to expand the Berry Bay Community Development District. This petition is submitted by the Berry Bay CDD to expand the CDD by adding approximately 32.2 acres to the CDD. The revised CDD would accomplish 506 acres and is generally located between US 301 and State Road 579 and south of Bonita Drive and north of Safford Road in Waimama. No objections to the pro CDD were raised by reviewing agencies. Staff finds the applicant meets the requirement of Chapter 190 Florida statutes to expand a community development district and recommends approval. We're available for any questions.
This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak to E10? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Brian Lamb here on behalf of the applicant, Berry Bay CDD. We have nothing further to add, but we're available for any questions.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this item? Seeing none, can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Wostel, second, Commissioner Miller. Please record your vote on E10.
Motion carried, 7-0.
E11.
Commissioners, E11 is CDD 26-0200. This petition to expand the Watershed South CDD Community Development District. This petition is submitted by the Watershed South CDD to expand the CDD by adding approximately 69.4 acres to the CDD. The revised CDD would encompass 869.61 acres and is generally located on the north side of 19th Avenue Northeast between US 41 to the west and I-75 to the east and south of Paso Almar Boulevard. No objections to the pro CDD were raised by reviewing agencies. Staff finds the application meets the requirement of Chapter 190 Florida statutes to expand a community development district and recommends approval.
Okay. This is a public hearing. Anyone like to speak to this item? Good morning.
Good morning. Alyssa Wilson with the law firm QTAC Rock. I'm district counsel for the Watershed South CDD, just available to answer any questions, and thanks staff for working with us on this item.
All right, thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this item? Can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Wostel, second, Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on E11.
Motion carried, 7-0.
It's grading.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item F1, major mod application 25-0648. This is a request for a major modification of the PDD located at the terminus of Apollo Beach Boulevard and Surfside Boulevard in Apollo Beach. The applicant is requesting to modify, create two new development options for this project. Currently, the PD is approved for 53 attached single-family condo units, 103-unit hotel motel. The applicant is proposing two development options, both removing the option for the hotel motel. Option one would be 52 single-family attached condominium dwellings and a 2,500 square feet of commercial neighborhood uses. The second option would remove the commercial neighborhood uses and provide for a maximum of 54 single-family attached condominium dwelling units. As part of this request, the applicant is requesting to increase maximum building height from 50 feet to 60 feet. They are increasing side yard setbacks by 10 feet on both the north and south, and also requesting removal of other conditions of zoning. Staff has reviewed this and found this approvable. Planning Commission has found it consistent, and hearing officer has recommended approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, the applicant here. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Isabel Albert with HAF. I'm here representing the applicant. So basically, the site is in Apollo Beach. It's a vacant site, one of the last remnant sites in Apollo Beach, and it's also located in the urban service area. So surrounding the development along Apollo Beach Boulevard is commercial strips, and then it dead ends with a marina with open storage for boats. But it also has different styles of residential development around us with a multifamily, single-family, and townhomes. The zoning is a standalone zoning. It's not part of the overall Apollo Beach. It was established in 2004, 20 years ago. And it's also located in the Office Commercial 20 future land use. This is a strip of land along the water. So this is what was approved in 2004. It was approved for 53 condos or 103 hotel units. And the request today is very similar. We're just keeping approximately the same layout. We're increasing the north and south setback by 10 feet. The request is to eliminate the hotel use, but to allow two options, whether it's going to be 52 condos with 2,500 square feet of commercial uses and or 54 condo units, as well as to increase the height by 10 feet. We're also requesting to remove conditions 4 and 5. These conditions have been supported by staff because what number 4 has been complied with, and number 5 was provided by the original applicant, but no further needed. So this is what you're going to hear today is the Apollo Beach Community Plan. There's a policy in there that discourages over 50 feet in height in residential zoned areas. And that's important to stress out because, again, we're a standalone plan development. We are in the OC 20, and the policy just says discourage in residential zoning areas. The site next to us is a residential development, but it was approved for approximately almost 60 feet. And on either side, because it's the OC 20, where you have 0.75 FAR, 20 units to the acre, which is greater density, you have also approval for commercial uses on either side, or multifamily or residential. And this is where the location of the site along the OC 20. The increase in height is consistent with the policies because it does, it just discourages, it doesn't prohibit, but also it's recognizing that an OC 20 is more intensive than the Apollo Beach community, general Apollo Beach community of residential 6. That is a residential zoning. The OC 20 is more intensive, like a commercial intention of zonings. I'm not going to go through all the policies, but Planning Commission did review this and found it consistent with the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. It also found it consistent with the Apollo Beach Community Plan, as well as the South Shore Area System Plans. Development Services also reviewed the request and found it compatible with the surrounding area. And also the hearing officer also found it consistent and approvable, subject to the conditions. This generally concludes my presentation, but I'm here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any proponent testimony? Wait, you in support? Okay, any opponent testimony? Please come forward. Good morning. You have a total of 10 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Carla Llanos. I'm with HPL and Associates. I was hired by the residents of Apollo Beach to provide expert witness testimony. I work with Becker Law Firm, and we provided a report that's part of the record and was transmitted to the county on November 13 in 2025 in advance of the zoning hearing master. The report analyzed the applicant's request, in which there are a few inconsistencies between the narrative and the site plan. So this is the overall site plan. This is the overall site plan for the project, but I zoomed in over here a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that. So the site plan shows a maximum building height of 72. So this is fairly inconsistent with what the applicant is requesting in their narrative. Now, those were one of the few things that we saw. Now, in the report, we looked at that. We also looked at basically, the developments nearby the property, and we analyzed them for their maximum heights approved. We compared it to the current request and the previous request for the subject site. Now, when we looked at the previous request, we did find that originally back in 2005, let me show you this. So this is the 2005 hearing, February 8th. And then we also show here that they had requested something very similar, which was 90 feet in height. And then they got it reduced back down to 59.5 until they got it ultimately approved for 50 feet. So they also had the discussion back then, if you look at the transcript in part of the record, they had the discussion of whether or not this property could be developed at a height higher than 50 feet. And between the public hearings and opposition and county staff looking at it, they all basically agreed, said this was too high for that community. So we looked at not only previous requests, but we also looked at what is the overall impact for the Apollo Beach community. So there's obviously a concern for the increase in height. Now, it could be the most visible building in Apollo Beach. The applicant's request is similar to what was requested back in 2004. Now, we ran an analysis for the majority of the developments nearby the property. It's part of the record. And as you can see, the majority of the buildings out there, and this is pulled all from your county records. I went through Excel, I went through the PGM store. All of this information is part of your county records. Now, as you can see, the majority of the buildings out there are 35, 45, and there's only one building that was approved for 60 feet, a 5-story building, which is Bella Sol. I identified this thoroughly in the report. I showed you the approval plans for Bella Sol. And again, there's nothing out there higher than the 60-foot building. So this whole notion between requesting a building that's higher than 50 feet, your plan clearly indicates that it is discouraging buildings higher than that. To implement something that's quite larger than all the buildings out there, it's going to create an eyesore. Now, the other thing that we looked at was the uses. So the applicant is requesting general CN uses. Typically, my planning expertise, we would recommend potentially limiting those CN uses. Here I have a traffic memo by county staff indicating that because there's so many CN uses that could potentially go on the property, they have limited the amount of trips just to kind of cap that and make sure that the impacts are not affecting Apollo Beach entirely. So what they put in as a condition is that later on, if they do have something that's coming in that might exceed those trips, they'll have to reanalyze it. Again, this is too broad. General CN uses, it's not appropriate. It would have been better if the applicant would have proposed some type of limited uses. Now, in conclusion, the proposed request, for a 72-foot building is not consistent with the Apollo Beach community plan, as it discourages buildings over 50 feet in height. And lastly, proposed CN uses are way too broad, and it's too impactful for the community. We can't really capture the whole thing. And then, CN, if you would have limited the CN uses, we could have potentially looked at other aspects, whether or not is there a potential for mitigation or not. So with that, I will pass it over to one of the Apollo Beach community residents.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Commissioner Miller, nice to see you again. My name is Craig Major from Apollo Beach, and I'm here to talk about the increase in the height restriction to this property. Because some 20 years ago, this commission lowered the height restriction on that property from 59 feet down to 50 feet. They're trying to promote a neighborhood-friendly feel in Apollo Beach, and I think we're really going a long way towards accomplishing that. Then 10 years ago, this commission rejected a request to exceed that 50-foot limit, and again, trying to maintain the neighborhood feel of Apollo Beach. Now today, we are faced with yet another request to build something taller, an eyesore, at the end of Apollo Beach Boulevard. And the problem with that is that that extra 10 feet they asked for is really 15, because they asked for 10 feet over the base elevation, and the base elevation is 5 feet over grade. So we're really talking about a 65-foot structure here. That equates to about 30% higher than everything else around it. You heard that there was a 60-foot structure just down the street, but that's over half a mile away. It's not really visible from there. On the south side of this property is a 2-story single-family home. Can't be more than like 30 feet tall. On the north side is a small condominium building, which is 3 floors over parking. And that building is no more than 40 feet tall. Directly across the street are 44 townhomes, which are 46 feet high. You heard a representative say that it was almost 60 feet high. Well, there is a 56-foot high steeple in the middle of it that she counted as 60 feet high. Well, we would welcome for them to build a 60 or 70-foot high steeple or observation tower in the middle of their building. But they're talking about a monolith of 65 feet high. So this modification calls for 60 feet over the base elevation to build 4 floors over parking, and their structure will be at least 65 feet. It will dwarf anything around it. But they say it's only 10 more feet. And speaking on behalf of the numerous families in Apollo Beach, I ask that you reaffirm the decisions of previous commissions and restrict the building on this lot to the 50 feet that has previously been established. If they build 3 floors over parking instead of 4 floors over parking, they can easily stay within that 50-foot limit. And that's just only 10 feet lower. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in opposition? All right, seeing none, applicant has a 5-minute rebuttal.
Good morning, Commissioners. William Malloy, 325 South Boulevard, Tampa. I'll keep this pretty brief and quick, I think. The line of code that we're all fussing about is in the Apollo Beach Livable Community element, the community plan, and it reads very slant over 50 feet in height in residentially zoned areas. And I've had a problem with that line being applied to this case since the beginning. This site is currently entitled for 103 hotel rooms. That is a significant commercial.
I just want to clarify also, it's been stated a couple of times that the opposition represents the Apollo Beach community. I have met months before we filed for this application with numerous residents. I was invited for a podcast to explain what we were doing. We had some great feedback, a lot of support of the community. Obviously, they're not here, but I just wanted to point that out, that I did hear a lot of support, and this is why we're here today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission?
Thank you. Melissa Leinhardt, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located within the Office Commercial 20 future land use category. The site is in the urban service area, and the subject property is located both within the limits of the Apollo Beach Community Plan as well as the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. As one of the most intensive future land use categories on the future land use map, the OC20 category may be considered for a maximum of up to 20 dwelling units per gross acre or a maximum intensity of a 0.75 floor area ratio. The OC20 future land use category allows for the consideration of agricultural, community commercial type uses, office uses, mixed-use developments, and residential uses. The proposal meets the intent of future land use section objective 4.1 and policy 4.4.1 that require new development be compatible to the surrounding neighborhood. In this case, the surrounding land use pattern is comprised mostly of vacant land and single-family residential uses with light commercial uses further south of South Apollo Beach Boulevard. Policy 4.4.1 states that any density or intensity increases shall be compatible with existing, proposed, or planned surrounding development. Development and redevelopment shall be integrated with the adjacent land uses through the creation of like uses, the creation of complementary uses, the mitigation of adverse impacts, transportation and pedestrian connections, as well as the gradual transition of intensity. The project is meeting the required 2-to-1 setback, which is consistent with policy direction relating to compatibility, with the subject site being in the Office Commercial 20 designation, which is one of the more intensive future land use categories in the comprehensive plan. Along with the surrounding uses, the proposal for condominium units with a development option to develop commercial neighborhood uses, the request meets the intent of that policy direction as it relates to compatibility. While the subject site is in the Office Commercial 20 future land use designation, the Apollo Beach Community Plan does discourage development of over 50 feet in height in residentially zoned areas. The applicant is proposing a building height of 60 feet, and though the proposed height is over the encouraged 50 feet building height in Apollo Beach, the applicant had previously proposed a building height of 70 feet and did not meet the 2-to-1 setback in the Land Development Code. With the latest revisions, the applicant has reduced the height to 60 feet and is now meeting that setback requirement. As such, the building height
at 04-979, which is currently approved for 53 attached single-family condo dwelling units or a 103-room hotel. The modification requests to eliminate the hotel entitlement and instead propose 2 development options. Additionally, the modification requests an increase in the maximum building height from 50 feet to 60 feet. Certain zoning conditions that pertain to signage, required contribution to the Parks Department, and maintenance of the landscape medians are proposed to be removed as they are no longer applicable or are completed. Testimony in opposition was provided relating primarily to the increase in height and incompatibility with the surrounding area. The zoning hearing master noted that Goal 2 of the Apollo Beach Community Plan discourages building height over 50 feet in residentially zoned areas, but does not prohibit it. The applicant's representative stated that the subject property is currently approved for a 103-room hotel and is designated OC20, which is one of the most intense future land use plan categories. Therefore, the property is not strictly residentially zoned. The modification for the increase in height is supported by the Development Services Department based on the applicant's commitment to increase the setbacks to the adjoining properties by 10 feet, as well as providing additional buffering and screening to the adjacent parcels. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed modification is compatible with the surrounding development pattern and consistent with the comprehensive plan and with the Land Development Code, and concluded with a recommendation of approval.
Okay, we'll go into board discussion. Commissioner Wostel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say on page 4 of this backup, I could really be persuaded to go either way on this one, but it is complicated because it does say residential designated areas, and if you look on page 4, 99% of the map is residential 6, and this little strip is the only area that's designated as commercial on the whole map that was provided. So I guess my question would be, if that language about the 50-foot for residential areas was intended for residential, obviously if this was in one of the RSC 6 areas, I would just immediately vote no against it. But I guess my question is, since that language is in there designating it for residential only, how could it not be being applied to this single red strip of OC 20 that's there? It seems like it was intended to leave out the commercial areas. I don't know. What I would say is either way, something's going to be built on this piece of property. Is it going to be a 50-foot hotel, or is it going to be a slightly higher? It looks like they're reducing all of the rentals to single-family attached condominiums, correct? Basically just 2 different variations of it?
That's correct.
I guess, I mean, really the question is do you want the potential of a transient hotel at the end of Apollo Beach, or do you just want single-family attached condos is what we're really deciding today. But I guess that's my main, if anybody else has a question, but I mean, there's literally only like 20 plots of land that are not residential in the area, and that line of language seems to specifically protect the other 99%. Not this, but I could be persuaded to go either way. I just want to make sure the public knows that something's going to be built there. It's already heavily entitled, and I don't want them to leave here thinking anything less. Thank you.
Commissioner Cohen?
Yeah, I would just reiterate the most important point, I think, which is that there's currently a 103-room hotel permitted to be constructed on this property, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that certainly couldn't exist in a place that just has pure residential zoning.
Commissioner, if this was in the Res 6 category, that 303 hotel units would be looked at much differently. It would be a different type of analysis. This OC 20 future land use category does support that type of use, whereas the Res 6 generally does not.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cameron Cepeda?
Yes, it's only additional 10 feet, and I would like to move for approval.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Commissioner Cameron Cepeda, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Commissioner Miller. I don't see anyone else in the queue. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, next item.
Commissioners, next item is agenda item F2. It's a request for a F2 PD 25-0932. This is a request to rezone a parcel, a 10.69 acre parcel on the west side of Fernhill Drive. The request is rezoned to allow for 2 development options. The first development option would be for 53 single-family units, either attached or detached, with the allowance for accessory storage for recreational vehicles, private pleasure class, and utility trailers for the residents. The second option would just make the site allowable for the open storage of recreational vehicles, private pleasure class, and utility trailers, and an art studio. Based on the surrounding development pattern and the extensive wetland systems on site, that does provide for separation of the development area from the immediately adjacent property owners. Staff did find this approvable. Planning Commission found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the hearing also recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Isabel Albert with HAF, representing the applicant. I have nothing further to add unless you have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any proponent testimony? Anyone in support? Any opponent testimony? Planning Commission?
Thank you. The subject property is located within the suburban mixed-use 6 future land use category. The site is in the urban service area, and the subject property is located within the limits of the Riverview Community Plan, as well as the South Shore Area-Wide Systems Plan. The site currently contains single-family and vacant land. There are also single-family residential homes to the north, south, and west of the site. There's also light industrial and heavy commercial uses to the north and educational uses to the south. The applicant is requesting a waiver from the 20-foot buffer, and the Type B are heavily vegetated wetlands that create a natural buffer between the proposed use and the residential uses nearby. The natural wetland that will remain address commercial locational criteria. The site does not meet commercial locational criteria, as the closest qualifying intersection is approximately 3,700 feet away from the subject site at Sims Road and Interstate 75. Policy 4.7.
From AR to a planned development zoning district for the development of 2 development options, 53 single-family detached homes with accessory storage of operable RVs, boats, and trailers for residents only. And option 2, an art studio with accessory storage of operable recreational vehicles, RVs, boats, and trailers. It's open to the public. No waivers are requested. Testimony in opposition was provided during the hearing. Testimony in opposition was provided during the hearing and submitted into the record. Concerns primarily address the impact of the traffic to the area on Fern Hill Drive from the proposed single-family homes and commercial vehicle traffic associated with the storage of boats, RVs, and trailers, and the worsening of existing flooding conditions from the proposed single-family homes. Neighborhoods in the backup of traffic along Fern Hill Road, and that the addition of the project traffic would present a safety issue to children walking to the school. In response, the applicant's transportation engineer stated that they did traffic counts on Fern Hill Drive while school was in session and did not observe backups. The applicant's representative stated that the developer will provide a 10-foot wide multi-use path that will connect the subject property south to the existing sidewalk and bike lane to the school, and also complete a missing segment of the bike lane on the east side of Fern Hill Drive. The county transportation review staff had no objection to the rezoning application subject to the proposed zoning conditions. The zoning hearemaster concluded that the request for a PD for the development of the 2 development options is consistent with the code and with the comprehensive plan, and recommended approval.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Commissioner Wilson?
The current flu is 6 units per acre, and they're going for 5. That's what I'm reading, correct?
Yes, correct. Plan for 6 units per acre.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
F3.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item F3, rezoning standard 25-1316. This is a request to rezone a 4.1 acre parcel at the northwest corner of Pine Street and East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. It's currently zoned commercial neighborhood. They're asking for commercial general with restrictions. The restrictions include enhanced buffering screening along the northern boundary to address compatibility with the adjacent parcels, a transportation trip cap to limit the number of trips for any particular use that goes on the site to that outlined in their proposed trip cap, and they also propose limitations of uses as outlined in the staff report. Staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent with the plan, and the hearing officer also recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Thank you, Commissioners. Rebecca Kurt. I'm here with my land use partner, Michael Brooks, with Brooks, Rocha, Colby, and Rice. We're here representing MLK GS2 LLC with the primary principals, Richard Gonzalez, and the Henderson family office. We also have with us today our development partner, Shagbark Properties, and Michael Leeds is here. We also have our engineer, planning, and transportation experts as needed. This site is a 4.89 acre site along a portion of MLK, which is in the Sethner Mango planning area, in an area that is specifically designated by the plan to encourage commercial revitalization. This slide shows the overall block area. Our subject site, again, is a request to go from CN to CGR, which will increase the FAR and allow for a grocery store use. We are providing some restrictions, which we will go over further. This also shows in blue the 250579, which is a rezoning you will be hearing hearing later today. Our project stands on its own merits, but we wanted to show you the slide to show that the entire block is being revitalized with a logical mix of uses. We did have one person speak in opposition at the hearing. He was speaking, if you can see the blue rezoning abuts Highview Road. His concerns were along Highview Road, which are improvements of that are being addressed in that PD. We do have cross-access, but we don't have direct access to Highview Road. At this point, I'm going to ask our planner to come up, talk about compatibility.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Spazzato. I'm a certified planner with Level Up Consulting here in Tampa. The aerial and street view on the screen it's at MLK and Pine. It's looking west, and the point is to clearly show that this site is underutilized and in need of revitalization. The project site was originally rezoned to commercial about 50 years ago. It was C1. It was changed in 91 through the zoning conformance process. It included a cap on the FAR to 0.20. FAR is one measure of intensity, not necessarily predictive of other intensity metrics such as traffic, and this request will restrict traffic. The request is also facilitated by major modification 250265, which provides for the redevelopment of Mango Square, which is to the west of Highview. That eliminated the existing grocery, and so as mentioned by Rebecca, a goal of this request is to construct a grocery store. It's also intentionally integrated with PD 25079, which we'll hear later. Sorry. The request is also supported by the Res 6 flu designation, which has a 0.25 FAR, and the centers and connections designation. The voluntary restrictions include those on uses, typically that generate high peak, necessitating internal stacking. It includes a maximum trip cap and enhanced buffer along the northern edge. And with that, turn it over to Mr. Yates.
Good morning, Michael Yates with Palm Traffic, and I have been sworn. I just wanted to go over trip generation just real quick. Basically, as you can see from the graphic, we are proposing to keep the AM trips as a reduction and the PM trips as substantially the same as the previously approved gas convenience store that was on the site. They have an approved construction plans for that use there. So what we were doing was keeping those trips the same. And, you know, those trip numbers are reflective in the trip cap that we have proposed. And we are doing improvements to Pine as well to facilitate better movements at the intersection of Pine and MLK.
Thank you. That concludes our presentation unless there's questions.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Planning Commission?
Thank you. The subject property is located within the residential 6 future land use category. The site is in the urban service area, and the subject property is located within the limits of the Seffner Mango Community Plan. The subject site consists of vacant land and 2 light commercial uses. Adjacent to the west is also vacant land and a used car dealership with PD and commercial general zoning. Adjacent to the east are single-family detached homes, a church, and a bank with RDC 6 and CN zoning respectively. The proposal meets the intent of future land use section objective 1.1 and policy 3.1.3 that relate to compatibility of future development based upon the surrounding development pattern today. The subject site meets commercial locational criteria as the closest qualifying intersection to the subject site is East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Pine Street, and the site is located within the required 1,000-foot distance of that. Goal 3 of the Seffner Mango Community Plan notes that commercial development should be directed to the US 92 and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard corridors. Furthermore, one of the strategies is to recognize the commercial character of US 92 and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard within the urban service area. Along with that, another strategy under this goal is to encourage revitalization and redevelopment of older existing commercial areas and uses. The proposed rezoning from CG to, from CN to CGR is consistent with the Seffner Mango Community Plan as outlined in the Livable Communities element of the comprehensive plan. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the restrictions proposed by Development Services. Thank you.
Hearing master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for a rezoning from the commercial neighborhood to the CG Commercial General Restricted Zoning District. The property is designated Residential 6 by the comprehensive plan and located within the urban service area and the Seffner Mango Community Plan. The proposed restrictions offered by the applicant establish a trip generation cap for development, prohibits certain land uses, and require the construction of a 20-foot wide tight B buffer along the rear property line and include a solid masonry wall with evergreen shade trees. Testimony in support and opposition was provided at the hearing. Both comments addressed an adjacent property rezoning that was scheduled to be heard the same hearing. The proposed restriction regarding the vehicular trip cap was found by the ZHM to ensure that future development equals or reduces the traffic impact on the area based on the existing CN zoning district entitlements. The zoning hearing master concluded that the request is compatible with the development pattern and consistent with the land development code and the comprehensive plan, and recommended approval.
All right, can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Wilstel, second Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Please record your vote on F3.
Commissioner Miller? Motion carried 7-0.
All right, F4.
Next agenda item F4, rezoning standard 25-1319. This is a request to rezone a 0.9 acre parcel that's located on Lakeside Drive, east of the intersection of Lamona Road and State Road 60. The request is a rezone from RSC 6 to RMC 9 with restrictions. The restrictions limit development to single-story structures and a maximum of 4 attached units. With those restrictions, staff did find this request compatible with the surrounding zoning and development pattern. Planning Commission found it consistent, and the hearing officer also recommended approval. Staff is available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Yes, good morning. My name is Patricia Ortiz. I'm with Ortiz Planning Solutions. My address is 2810 North Central Avenue. As Mr. Grady stated, this is a request from RSC 6 to RMC 9. It's a standard district rezoning. We are accepting restrictions to ensure compliance with the 2-for-1 setback requirement, the RMC 9 development standards, and to ensure the low-profile development pattern will remain. This petition has been received favorable recommendations from all reviewing agencies and has been forwarded to you with a recommendation of approval from the zoning hearing master. Our intent is to develop a single-story fourplex. The surrounding uses along the south side of Lakeside Drive include fast food, office, single-family, and multifamily, and this demonstrates the transitional nature of this neighborhood. We had one person speak in opposition at our ZHM hearing. This person had issues with flooding and indicated that she thought the zoning was to allow an office residential zone. To be clear, we're seeking a rezoning from RSC 6 to RMC 9 with restrictions. And with that, I could answer any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Planning Commission?
Thank you. The subject property is located within the Residential 9 future land use category. The site is in the urban service area, and the subject property is located within the limits of the Brandon Community Plan. The current development of the surrounding area consists of single-family residential to the north, east, and west of the site, with light and heavy commercial uses to the south, and largely oriented along Brandon Boulevard. The Residential 9 future land use category allows for the consideration of up to 9 dwelling units per gross acre. With 0.9 acres, the subject site can be considered for up to 8 units. The proposed rezoning to RMC 9 would allow residential units on the site, and the applicant has agreed to 2 restrictions to mitigate compatibility concerns for the site. The site will be restricted to a maximum of 4 multifamily units, and after the fact, setback variances for the site will be prohibited. The proposed restrictions ensure that the potential development on the site will be compatible with the existing development pattern and sensitive to the existing community character. Therefore, the rezoning request is consistent with future land use section objectives and policies that relate to compatibility and neighborhood protection. The site is located within the Urban Center Brandon Character District, located within the Brandon Community Plan, which is described under Goal 6 as an area that contains the most intense land uses and includes regional shopping areas and the State Road 60 Overlay District. Given the future land use of Residential 9 and the location of the site between light and heavy commercial uses and residential uses, the proposed multifamily use in this area fits within the urban center uses and vision and provides transition of intensity between the urban center and the urban general character district areas of the Brandon Community Plan. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the restrictions proposed by Development Services. Thank you.
Zoning Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master reviewed the applicant's request for a rezoning to the RMC 9 restricted zoning district. The parcel is located within the urban service area and the Brandon Community Plan. The applicant proposes a restriction that will limit the number of dwelling units to a maximum of 4 single-story attached homes. The proposed restriction regarding the limitation on 4 single-story attached homes was considered by the zoning hearing master to be satisfactory in ensuring compatibility to the neighboring residential land uses. And the zoning hearing master concluded that the request for the RMC 9 restricted zoning district is compatible with the development pattern and consistent with the land development code and the comprehensive plan. The zoning hearing master concluded with a recommendation of approval.
All right, can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Cohen, second, Commissioner Wilstel. Please record your vote on F4.
Motion carried 7-0.
G1A and G1B.
Commissioners, the next items are related items G1A and G1B. Commissioners, the first item, G1A, is rezoning PD 25-0579. It's a request to rezone a 14.99 acre parcel located at the northeast of the intersection of Highview and MLK Boulevard from PD and CG to a planned development. The planned development proposes to have mixed uses of 304 multifamily units and 27,000 square feet of commercial, with the commercial along the frontage of MLK Boulevard and the residential and the remainder as shown. Required buffering and setbacks are being provided as part of the multifamily. I would also note that the applicant is requesting a resident density bonus for infill development pursuant to policy, comprehensive policy 4.9.6. We did find this request compatible. The Planning Commission found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the hearing officer also is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Michael Brooks, 400 North Tampa Street, Suite 1900, Tampa 33602. I'm here this morning on behalf of MLK GHS Properties, which is Richard Gonzalez family and the Greg Henderson family. I also have with me here this morning is Michael Leeds, who is working as the developer with the ownership group. Of course, my land use counsel, Rebecca Kurt, Jeremy Couch is here today, Tampa Civil Engineering. Stephen Spizzotta is also going to speak as our planner, and Michael Yates on traffic. And this development team has worked really hard on this. This is a segue from the petition you just heard a few minutes ago, 25-316, which was the grocery store site. We have 10 minutes on this application and then the PRS. We can give the PRS application separately, or we can touch on it. but I know I only have 10 minutes, so I want to keep moving the hearing along this morning. If I can figure out how to work. There we go. This is an overview of the site. It's within the urban service area, the Sefner Mango planning area. It's a combination of Res 4 and Res 20, and these are maps that are in your backup, of course. Some of you may remember that a portion of this particular PD, we changed the land use category a couple years ago to Res 20 in anticipation of bringing this project back to you. So just as an overview, on the right-hand side of the image, you can see the CG rezoning 2513-16 you just voted on. To the left side of that photograph, you can see the approved Mango Plaza development, which Stephen Spinoza just mentioned is being revitalized. And then the blue crosshatch is the proposed PD, of which this presentation is part. The purple areas are the remnants that are associated with the companion PRS, as well as a track, we call Tract A, that is along the Highview right-of-way. And so with that, I'm not going to talk about the existing zoning at this moment. I'm going to ask Stephen Spizotto to come up. This is a very technically involved project, both from a planning standpoint and a transportation. I'm going to ask Stephen to come up and give the planning side of this because I can't possibly have Michael Yates do that as well. But know that everybody's in here to answer questions when we're done.
Good morning again. Stephen Spizotto with Level Up Consulting. The regional, this map sort of depicts a regional view of the site. Has access nearby to I-75 and I-4 at interchanges. It's at a signalized intersection, and it fronts on a major commercial corridor. It also it abuts the centers and centers and connections designation. The PD site plan depicts the residential. That's the tangerine color. It caps the units at 304. It's separated by an east-west shared access facility. South of that is the commercial designation with A, B, and C parcels. A and B allow up to 27,000 square feet of commercial. And parcel C will be parking and or retention. It utilizes the infill density bonus as well as the blending provisions of the comprehensive plan. In terms of access, it's addressed comprehensively. It maintains the access to the advanced auto in the southwest corner. It closes 7 existing access points and facilitates east-west movement between Highview and Pine Street. And it also provides for pedestrian connectivity internally and externally. It does include the same prohibition on certain CG uses, which I went over a little bit on the previous case for the adjacent project. It does include a reduction in both AM and PM trips. It includes substantial improvements on MLK as well as Highview, which includes a design exception. I'll kind of go through those as Michael said, if I'm happy to answer any questions regarding these improvements. It includes substantial buffering, as depicted on this slide. Substantial, specifically, I'm sorry, you can see the kind of the darker green is an enhanced type B buffer. We also provide for variations on the buffering based on the unique circumstances of the property, including along Highview, and then also the internal east-west shared facility. The building setbacks are also appropriately designed based on what is adjacent. And as mentioned, also Al Parcel C provides for potential combination with the Euclidean zoning that we just talked about, the grocery store site. I think with that, Michael, any additional comments?
I'm going to ask Michael Yates just to come up real quick and give you an overview, and then we'll just have a couple more slides for the PRS.
Again, Michael Yates with Palm Traffic, and I have been sworn. I'll just go through very quickly on the improvements we're doing to Highview. Again, as Stephen went through, this is a reduction in trips over what the previous zoning approval was for. So we've reduced the trips and reflected that in a trip cap so that we will not exceed the trips based on our new data. But most of Highview has 9-foot lanes out there. If you've driven it, you will know it's hard to pass another car, particularly as you go north on there. So what we are doing is we are providing 10-foot travel lanes. We are providing an additional southbound right turn lane at the intersection of Highview. And then at the project access, we are providing a northbound right turn lane into the project driveway. This will include having sidewalks on both sides of the road. And then on the northern section, going up to the northern property line, we will have the 10-foot travel lanes as well as a sidewalk on the east side of the road. There is a sidewalk being constructed on the west side of the road as part of the Mango Plaza redevelopment. So this will get a new improved roadway, 10-foot travel lane, sidewalks, ultimately on both sides of the road, all the way up to the northern property line. And happy to answer any questions, but that concludes the traffic portion.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes our presentation on this item.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Planning Commission?
Thank you. The subject property is located within the residential 4 and residential 20 future land use categories. The site is in the urban service area, and the subject property is located within the limits of the Seffner Mango Community Plan. The proposed mixed-use development is compatible with the existing mixed-use character and density of the surrounding area, which is consistent with the neighborhood protection policies outlined in the future land use section. The residential 4 future land use category allows for the consideration of agricultural, residential, neighborhood, commercial, and office uses. The residential 20 future land use category allows for the consideration of agricultural, residential, neighborhood, commercial, office uses, and mixed-use developments. Future land use section policy 2.2.5 allows projects whose boundaries encompass more than one future land use category. The density intensity calculations will allow for the blending of those categories across the entire project, as long as the combined maximum density intensity allowed within the categories is not exceeded. With 14.99 acres, the subject site can be considered for up to 303 dwelling units with the residential density infill bonus that is being requested. Future land use section policy 4.9.6 incentivizes higher density and intensity development along major corridors and within mixed-use developments through the residential density bonus for infill development. State Road 574 is an arterial roadway and a major corridor in this area. Therefore, the bonus is suitable for this site. The site qualifies for the bonus because it is in the urban service area, it is located along a collector or arterial roadway, and the requested bonus is within the 660 feet distance perpendicular from that road. Goal 2 of the Seffner Mango Community Plan is to enhance community character and ensure quality residential and non-residential development. One of the strategies under this goal is to support infill development and redevelopment within the urban service area while providing for compatibility with the existing land uses. The request is consistent with the community plan vision based on the surrounding development pattern. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by Development Services. Thank you.
Zoning Hearing Master?
The zoning hearing master reviewed the applicant's request for a rezoning from plan development and CG zoning to plan development zoning district for the development of 27,000 square feet of general commercial land uses and a maximum of 304 multifamily dwelling units. Testimony in opposition was provided during the hearing. Concerns expressed addressed the impact of the project traffic to the area on the narrow Highview Road, possible flooding issues, parking, and the height of proposed buildings. In response, the applicant's drainage engineer testified that the site is required to design the retention to volume-sensitive standards, which will require significantly more retention than typical sites. The applicant's land use planner testified that the code requirements to provide an additional 2-to-1 setback for buildings over 20 feet in height results in a setback of 80 feet on the side that abuts single-family residential. He stated that the setback would increase the height of the building would increase, if the height of the building was to increase. The applicant's transportation engineer testified that there is sufficient right-of-way to provide the transportation improvements and that no right-of-way will be taken from existing parcels. The zoning hearing master concluded that the rezoning request to plan development for the development of 27,000 square feet of general commercial land uses and a maximum of 304 multifamily dwelling units is consistent with the land development code and the comprehensive plan, and the recommendation was for approval.
Okay, thank you. We're going to defer a vote till afterward. Commissioner Wilson, do you want to speak now or after the PRS?
After's fine.
Okay. Mr. Grady, do you need to introduce the PRS?
Just real quickly, the next G1B is PRS application 25-1377. This is dealing with the parcel we just spoke about. The PRS is basically to reflect removal of the parcels that are associated with G1B from the existing PD and recalibrate conditions to recognize entitlements associated with the two parcels that remain in the PD, which are outlined to the north and south of the area that's subject to G1A, and staff is recommending approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brooks?
Good morning, Commission. For the record, Michael Brooks, 400 North Tampa Street, Suite 1900, Tampa 33602. I'm going to just go back in this presentation and just address 3 slides. I want to talk about what the current site is approved for. So this site was approved in 1990 for a planned development. There were 2 portions of it that you see on your screen, a PDH and a PDC. The PDH housing residential portion is to the north. And by the way, this graphic is not to scale. I'm not sure why. The red portion was the shopping center. And that was approved, as I said, in 1990. In 1999, there was an amendment done to this planned development. I actually worked on this. And a portion of this PD came in to reconfigure the portion of the shopping center site for a grocery store. At that time, it was going to be I think it was a Food Lion. That never happened, but this PD modification was approved. And so what you have today is the existing site is approved for 125,000 square feet of non-residential shopping center. A mix of CN and mini warehouse uses are allowed, with the out parcel having 12,600 some change feet. And this is roughly a graphic that's similar to what Michelle Heinrich just put up. You can see the remnant parcels subject to the PRS that are in pink. They'll remain within that PD. The land in bold that's crosshatched, that will be coming out and going into the new PD 250579. And with that, I have Jeremy Couch here to answer any questions. Michael Yates, of course, Stephen Sepota, you've already seen.
We're going to board discussion. Commissioner Wilstel?
Just briefly, I don't know if it's cleared up in the zoning hearing master hearings when somebody testifies about stormwater, but if they do listen, just to remind them that that's all handled during the permitting process, not during zoning. And if they can't comply with stormwater needs, then they can't build. It's not handled during this process. But I only see one more person queued, so I'll go ahead and move for approval.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve G1A and G1B by Commissioner Wilstel, second Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Commissioner Bowles?
I had a question regarding the trip count.
Yes, Michael Yates with Palm Traffic.
Yeah, thank you. I apologize, couldn't remember your name.
No, that's okay.
With the Walmart revitalization that came before us a couple months back, last year, and there were some concerns about the Terry Lane traffic, and I think they were going to make some improvements to that, or at least some buffering. Nothing to do with your project per se.
I worked on that one as well, so
okay,
I can answer.
So when the trip count, do you include that, or is this coming off Highview and Martin Luther King? Because I know it doesn't have direct access, but it does kind of play in. I would see it playing into it.
Yeah. So Terry Lane.
I know it's not a well-traveled, but it's still an access from